Hi everyone, Karnak with another Star Wars Armada Explained. Today we're going to look at the Support Team Enginetech card. How do you know if this card equips to the Support Team? You look in the bottom left hand corner, you'll see the Support Team icon. Enginetech costs 8 points. The card reads, Navigation Command. After you execute a maneuver, you may exhaust this card to execute a Speed 1 maneuver. This card does have one clarification. It reads, when the ship executes this maneuver, it can click the first joint of the maneuver tool using its usual yaw value for the first joint at speed 1. For enginetech, how does it work? Well, you need to make sure you're resolving a navigation command. Remember, navigation command is if you're utilizing either a dial or token or a dial and token. So, for example, if this MC-80 Liberty, he's already going speed 2, and he reveals a navigation command on his command dial, and he's going to elect to use the navigation dial. And then on the appropriate movement step, he's going to say, oh, you know what, I'm going to go speed 3. And again, he's going to get that extra yaw click, and at speed 3, he doesn't normally get a click at 2, but you know what, he wants a click at 2. So he's going to do a click on one of every yaw point. And again, make sure when you're committing your maneuver, you can't overlap the maneuver tool. So he's going to notch in that left-hand movement there. He's going to go 1, 2, and 3. And by overlapping the movement tool, I mean the final movement should not be overlapping the tool. All right, we straighten that out and remove it. So now he's committed and done that movement. So then when does enginetech activate? Well, it's at this point now. You've committed and done your first step. You've executed your first maneuver. Now it says after you execute a maneuver, you can exhaust this card to execute a speed 1 maneuver. So this is when you decide, do I want to use this card or not? As long as you've used either navigation dial when you first revealed your command dial, or if you didn't have a navigation dial, but you have a navigation token, as long as you spent the token either during that movement there, or even right now, you could say, you know what, I'm going to, or you can't right now, you'd have to spend the token before you had committed the move. Essentially, you need to resolve a navigation command either from a dial or token, or dial and token, before you had moved your ship initially. So this situation then, now you can say, do I want to use enginetech or not? And in this situation, you say, yes, I'm going to exhaust enginetech. You can use the first speed nav value, which is 1. So again, make sure you don't overlap your movement tool. In this case, we're going to place it on the right. We can go straight, or we can go 1 right. We're going to notch it in on the right here. Notch it in on the right here. And we execute a speed 1 maneuver right. Now, let's back this up one step. This is something that players don't understand and have messed up, and even myself, I didn't quite understand this for quite some time. Once you have completed your first maneuver and you've already spent either the navigation, you activate navigation command and you're thinking, do I want to enginetech or not? Know this. Once you have said, I'm exhausting this card, once you pick up your maneuver tool, you are committed to this maneuver. There is no takebacks. Your opponent may allow you to go back, but the moment you pick up your maneuver tool, you are in the determined course step. You're committing to this maneuver. Why is that? Well, if you put down the tool, suddenly you have all this information and you can point that tool anywhere you want, and you could potentially be pre-planning your next movement. That's cheating. Okay, you can't do that. So, because if you do that and you say, oh, you know what, I don't want to do that, I unexhaust enginetech, you just cheated, essentially. Now, some opponents may be kind enough to allow you to go back and to not commit an enginetech move, but technically, once you exhaust that card and pick up the maneuver tool, you're committed. You can, for example, exhaust the enginetech card if you pick up the distance ruler, which is the range ruler, distance ruler. You could use that but as soon as you pick up the maneuver tool, you're committed, you're locked in. There's no takebacks. I just want to make sure I was making that clear, because that is something that for the longest time I did not understand. So let's talk about something else. How do some abilities affect this card? Again, for the most part, go by whatever cards and things say, but for the most part, enginetech has some interesting caveats. Let's talk about General Madine. So General Madine says when a friendly ship resolves a navigation command, if it spent a navigation dial, it may increase one additional yaw value by 1. If it spent a navigation token, it may either change its speed or increase one yaw value by 1. So that affects during the initial placement of your tool, of what's going on, that affects. And you might be thinking, well, what happens if I committed to my maneuver for going to speed 3 and now I want an enginetech? Why can't I suddenly spend a navigation token? Well, because you resolve spending a dial and token in your first initial movement. So for Rebels, General Madine, you can't use it on enginetech because you have to resolve the navigation commands in order to activate enginetech initially. You can't spend it after the fact. And even if, for example, you spent just a dial, you didn't spend a token, and even if you have a token on this Liberty, you can't spend the token after that fact because you have to resolve the dial and token at the same time. And if you didn't use a navigation token before you moved, you didn't resolve a navigation command. You can't use it after the fact to then trigger enginetech. Some of this may sound convoluted, but it's all about the timing. Okay, you have to make sure the timing is appropriate. Otherwise, technically, you can't do that kind of stuff. You have to make sure you're doing things exactly when you need to do them. Another example of things that do not trigger enginetech, let me spawn it here real quick, the fleet command Entrapment Formation. So all Entrapment Formation says is that if you spent a navigation token, you until the end of the round, each friendly ship can change its speed by 1 during its determined course step. So that is not in and of itself a navigation command trigger. All that is that you've spent a navigation token to allow you to change a speed. It's not a navigation command. It doesn't trigger enginetech or any other navigation command effect. So that is enginetech explained. Of course, if you feel like anything is an error, if I got anything wrong, please be sure to leave a message or a comment. Let me know about it. Otherwise, thanks for watching.